AATBirds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need.
Quick, he's going to go. What a give it to Smith, and they stop it. So back. He looks, fires for the end zone, intercepted, the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown, Matt Ware, midfield, he's going to go, Deshaun Jackson, he steps up, he's hit, and falls forward, and he fumbles the football, and the Eagles have it, it's one, and the Eagles win.
It's all birds, all the time.
And welcome to another edition of the AATBirds Weekly Report, AATBirds Postgame Recap. I myself, Johnny Uleka, is joined by Kendall. As always, we're going to break down the Eagles getting the victory, winning 22-16 over the New York Giants, clinching the NFC East, and getting the number one overall seed. Kendall, how's everything going?
It's going really, really good. Number one seed, first round bye. I'll take it, baby. NFC East champs too.
Peanut
Yes,
checking in. What's going on, Peanut? A lot of people are complaining about the win because it didn't look as glorious as everybody wanted it to be. But, you beat another NFL team. I don't care who's playing. All those guys are in the NFL for a reason. They got the win. And, it's 14-3, 14 wins, the most in franchise history. So something to be proud about. The Eagles have a bye week so they can get these guys, hopefully some rest to be able to go into the divisional round. Not sure who they're going to play yet. Of course, we have to wait for Wild Card Weekend to finish out before we see that. But hey, they got the win and they got a franchise record, 14 victories.
Yes, sir. Gotta love it.
But looking at the game, and you mentioned it when we were talking before we went live here about Jalen Hurts, and they basically weren't going to have him do a lot of read option runs. They weren't going to have him run the ball a lot because they didn't want to ding him up or to get him hurt. And they did mention as well on the broadcast that he did talk with their production crew and talked about that, he maybe should have came out in Chicago, shouldn't have kept playing. So we don't know how bad that injury was, but look, I don't know if you saw it, but I didn't see anybody really get hurt today. So
no,
I would say
I think Nakobe Dean went out. He went back to the locker room.
Well, they don't play him on defense anyway. So
yeah, but Kaiser has been playing well. But
yeah, but
he played better today though.
Yeah, and for me, they were able to, of course, Kenny Golladay had that unbelievable catch, which really can do nothing about. I know people are going to blame Slay like it's his fault, but it was an unbelievable catch. You can't do anything about it. But just looking at it, they went kind of vanilla on offense, and they weren't going to show a whole ton of stuff, and their playbooks kind of cut. I was surprised how much they threw the ball, especially early on.
Right, especially with his shoulder.
But does that tell you, hey, his shoulder's healed up?
It shows you how comfortable he is because you're not going out your first 10 plays. I mean, I'm sure Slayton has like a set first 10, 15 plays. Like, you don't have your first 10, 15 just pass if, he's not healthy. And the fact that he came out throwing, there was probably his first 15 plays or 13 out of them were probably passing. So clearly it shows how comfortable they are with him throwing. So,
yeah. And, Peanut chimes in here. It's time to soak in and celebrate. Win's a win. Exactly. You look at some of the games today and some of the teams, look at the Dallas Cowboys losing to Washington. Washington was playing a lot of guys who were either bottom end of the roster, called up a couple practice squad guys, and, a rookie quarterback, first ever start, Sam Howell, and they lose the game, and they did not look good at all. So, yeah, you can take it that they only won 22-16. They didn't blow them out. And, it is what it is, because if you look at this team back in 2017, they secured the number one seed, I believe, after the Oakland Raiders, when they were the Oakland Raiders on that Christmas night, which they looked absolutely horrible. They looked pretty bad in the Giants game, and then they looked terrible with, they played a lot of backups with the Dallas, but going into those playoffs, there was a lot of mixed emotions in terms of who should play at quarterback and, is Nick Foles going to do it? So yeah, it wasn't pretty, but you got to look at this team and look at what they can do and, be comfortable to what you've seen this season, especially with Jalen Hurts at the helm. So, and the thing about it is this team doesn't have to travel anywhere. Everybody's got to come into them.
Runs through the link.
Exactly. So that's another big key thing there is the playoffs are going to be played in Lincoln Financial Field. And that's where it's going to, that's where it's going to stay until the big game. If you make the big game, it goes out to Arizona, which there's a lot of Eagles fans in Arizona. But
chime in real quick. I understand people want, the Eagles have some style points or want to look good. People need to understand, and I give credit to BLG for this tweet. He said, Eagles don't need to be scoring style points against the Giants. Philly did not look impressive late in the 2017 before their Super Bowl run. Cowboys beat the Eagles backups in Week 18 last year, 51-26. Dallas scored 17 points and wildcard lost next week. # relax. People need to understand that, it's not the end of the world. The offense was very vanilla because there's a reason for that. You've Jalen obviously back at the helm, but you don't want to show your hand too much going into the playoffs. You don't have your best offensive tackle. It's going to be fine. There's nothing to worry about. And I don't want people to be Slicky knows what he's doing now. Where was this beginning? Anyways, relax. It's going to be okay. And, they're going to have 2 weeks off to get healthy. We're going to get Lane back. Shalen's shoulder is only going to get more healthier. And he's going to be able to get his leg involved and take some more hits if needed. It's going to be all right. And the defense, for what it's worth, obviously didn't play, the Giants starters, but they looked pretty solid. And then, hopefully Maddox might be able to get back. CJ looked pretty encouraging in the slot today.
Yeah.
Leadership honestly looked pretty solid today. And I was impressed. And
it's good to have him. It's good to have the depth there.
Let's talk about Hassan Reddick, bro. All this man does is create pressure. There was at least 3 times today where he should have a sack. I'm gonna say it. He might be the best rusher we've had, maybe the past decade. Truthfully.
Yeah, he's just got that explosion. And it's pretty funny to think about, when he was drafted by Arizona and then not used properly, and you thought to yourself, what are they doing? They should put him on the outside, let him rush the passer. They did it in his final season with them. He had double-digit sacks. He signs a 1-year contract with Carolina, has double-digit sacks. Then we get him. And the contract that they sign him to, I think it's $15 million a year.
It's a bargain. It's a bargain.
Such a bargain. It's unbelievable. 3 years, was it 3 years and $35 million or something like that? Around there.
It's 50. It's 51, I think.
I just don't think he gets the pub around the league that
he doesn't.
Others do, because he played with Arizona and Carolina. They're not marquee franchises at this point right now. So, he had great seasons, but a lot of people don't really think about it. But now he's with bigger market with Philly now, so you kind of get a little bit more pub there. But he's unbelievable.
He was drafted as a middle linebacker, and he looked great at Temple when he was a middle linebacker. And when he first started playing edge, he was so new to rushing, and he was still so good. And he even said last week how he's finally getting to use of these tools that he has now of rushing, and he hasn't even hit his climax. So this is just the beginning for him, and it can be exciting as to how good he can actually be. And, these sacks aren't by coincidence. And today, I forget who put the tweet out. I think it was ESP. He was I think he was dropped back 60 plus times. Imagine if he wasn't dropped back all the snaps. I mean, granted, he probably only would have, 2 sacks more or whatnot. But he just gets so much pressure. And he's a big reason why this team went from 31st in sacks to 1st this year.
Yeah, and there's points in a game where he rushes and then the quarterback goes out and he's quick enough to be able to get out there and not let a guy get a big game, get in his face. So he's been really good. And he's just been more than what I thought. Now I thought, maybe he gets you 8-9 sacks, get you a little bit something, something off the edge there. But this team went from having one of the worst sack totals in the league. I think they were 31st last year to having 70 sacks this season.
Insane.
Number one, most in
Insane.
franchise history. And, it's just, it's fun to watch and see what they're doing. I think having CJ back is going to be, it's going to be a breath of fresh air for the defense because they can move him all around and he can do so many different things, especially with the emergence of Reed Blankenship. They're able to use Chauncey in any way they want to, come down for the run, play the slot. If he has to play deep, he can play deep. They can do so many different things with him. And I think that's, going into the playoffs, that's really good when you're going to play teams that are going to be able to spread you out, to have those guys and not have to just rely on, just Josiah Scott in the slot there. And then,
Right.
a bunch of backup guys. So, again, hopefully Lane comes back. Hopefully Avante, they get him back. But it's fun. It's fun to see what they're able to do and what they are doing. But like I said, they weren't going to show you a whole heck of a lot. With Jalen being back in there, they could play a vanilla, and still win the game. Jake Elliott, 5 for 5, 250 yards.
How good was he today, man? My God.
Was solid. And
he hasn't gone all year without kicking. And today he was 5 for 5 and his drills every single field goal.
Now, the punting situation, on the other hand, I have to bring it up. Brett Kern averaged 33 and a half.
Off the team.
33 and a half yards per punt. Yeah, he punted twice. He had one bad one, but his first one wasn't very good either. You just can't have that, especially in the playoffs. If you're back deep, in your own territory, you can't have a guy that averages 30. I think he only averages 38 or 39 yards per punt with the Eagles so far in a couple games. You can't have that.
If Aaron's healthy, for the playoff game, I would. And let's say that Aaron's not healthy. Let's say we have Brett Kern still. Let's say we're backed up in our own 30-yard line. It's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3. I'm genuinely going for it rather over than punting because these past 2 games, they have been bad. Past 3 games, bad. Brett Kern is not sustainable. There's a reason why he was on the streets because he's just not good. He's bad, and I don't know what they can do as an alternate. I mean, if Aaron's healthy, get him back and cut Kern, but I doubt they're going to go out their way to sign somebody else. Maybe they'll try out somebody else, but we can't have him.
I think there's a way they can try out somebody and sign someone because remember, you do have a week here. You can have a guy helping you hold. There's a couple veterans out there that you can get and plug in there. Because you can't have the guy only punting not even 40 yards per punt. That's just in today's NFL,
man.
You just can't. And yet, unfortunately, he was good once, but he's 36, 37 years old right now. I think his time, may be just about up. He's not kicking real well right now. And that's just, you can't have that. Special teams will kill you in the postseason. Look at last year, the Green Bay Packers. No matter what.
That's why they lost.
No matter what it is, you have to be able to add someone. And unfortunately, I do think that they're going to bring somebody in to, see what he's got because I don't know. I just don't think you can do that. But I want to quickly recap our locks of the week and, see how we did there. So Chip had Washington, 3 picks, interceptions. I know they had 1. I don't think they had 3. So I think that one was a no.
Mine came close.
Yours came close. He had 2 touchdowns, I believe, rushing and a passing.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see here. And then I had the Steelers will win and get in the playoffs. Now they won, but they'd not get in the playoffs.
Dude, the Dolphins are dreadful without. I mean, this might be me being a little bold because I don't love Tua. They're bad without Tua. And I didn't think Tua was good, but man, they're bad.
Yeah, they were pretty bad. And just looking at this playoff picture. Yes, you do have some talented teams, but what it shows you is no matter what it is, and that's why even with the Eagles too, no matter what it is, if you have a bad week, are you able to overcome it and get the win? If you look at Dallas this week, they had a bad week and they weren't able to overcome it against a Washington Commanders team that was sitting a lot of guys. Now the Eagles didn't play their absolute best.
They still had opportunities though.
They still had opportunities.
I mean, yes, they went 1 for 5 in the red zone, but I mean, they at least they got there. This is Hurts's first game back in a couple of weeks. Like, of course, it's going to be a little sloppy. And if the opportunities are there, you're hoping you're going to punch them in come playoff time. But it's nothing to worry about, in my opinion.
But isn't it like, wouldn't you want Hurts to play this game, knock some rust off, then to go 5 weeks of not playing at all to then right into the divisional playoff? So,
right.
Yeah, they didn't look the greatest, but to have them play and know that they have next week off to 1, rest up, 2, get themselves back acclimated, what they need to do, everything like that, clicking on all cylinders, getting healthy. I think all in all, it did work out with having Hurts play. Like, nobody got injured. You didn't have anybody down with a big injury, anything like that. So right there, I feel like that's a plus. That's a win there. And I think a lot of people want to take it, too far in terms of they didn't look that great. They only went 1 for 5.
Right.
You said, yeah.
One more thing. This is also the offense's first game with Hurts and Goddard since Washington's loss. Like, once you get these guys back together in full swing, you have A.J. Brown and Smitty, who have looked incredible ever since Goddard has been out. Everyone was worried how the offense was going to look once he was gone. They look just as good, if not even better, with Goddard missing. And then you get Goddard back into the offense with Hurts. I mean, the ceiling is super high right now, and there's a lot to look forward to. And I'm excited to see what Steichen and Sirianni do to get the offense, a little creative and whatnot. Like, the playoffs should be very exciting, and you gotta hope they come out sharp and do their homework because there's no reason they should not. You know what I mean?
So let's see. Looks like Chip's going to join us here. Let's see. Let's get his little. I feel like he's going to be what we were talking about. Some negativity. Go ahead.
So I was fortunate enough to listen to about 12 minutes of some talk radio on the way home. And the negativity.
How negative? I bet you
it is. It was. My wife actually asked me to turn it off. It was so bad. Because
3-14.
Apparently, look, I understand that the team didn't look great today. Okay, I do understand that. But here's the other thing. You go into a game like today, you have 2 goals, and that's it, 2 goals. Win the game, come out healthy. They completed both of those goals. It wasn't a great win. Jalen Hurts has been off for 2 weeks. He looked a little rusty. Sure, he's now going to get – it was actually, to me, the perfect scenario because if we had clinched 2 weeks ago against the Cowboys, you have Jalen Hurts off for a month before the playoffs. I'm not really – I would worry about that. 2 weeks off, real live game reps today, and then a break, and then the playoffs. I think it was kind of the perfect scenario. I think they did enough to win. It's also very difficult for a team to get up for a game against backups. You know what I mean? The rivalry wasn't there. It wasn't going against Saquon Barkley. It wasn't going against even Daniel Jones. It wasn't going against – I don't think Thibodeau played, did he?
He did not play. I did not see him.
So, I mean, like, you're going against the bums of a team that is already pretty bad. It's tough to get up for that game. You're missing still key players, Avonte Maddox, Lane Johnson, Jalen Hurts. The game plan that they had for Jalen Hurts was not the typical Jalen Hurts game plan. You saw him sliding much earlier when he had to scramble. It was a different game plan. They got the win. They got out healthy. I'm not overly worried. I'm really not. Now they can rest before they start playing some heavy hitters.
You can tell those guys wanted just to get in and get out. They wanted no parts of that game. They want to get to that bye week, get ready for the postseason, and settle it there.
Yeah, and
I'm frustrated with the fact that it would have been great if the Eagles had been able to get our starters out at halftime. Yeah. If they had done what San Francisco did, where the starters didn't play the fourth quarter, if they had done what the Chargers did by losing to the Broncos, if they had done what the Cowboys had done by losing to the Commanders.
Well, the Cowboys
didn't happen that way. Cooper Rush finished the game, though.
Yeah, because Dak was so bad.
But that's what I'm saying. It didn't come out that way. They got meaningful minutes. It got a little bit exciting at the end. Great. We still won. Great. I mean, they took care of business. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. And they took care of it in a healthy way.
Yeah. And that's what, Kendall and I were talking about when, this show before you came on was, and one thing I mentioned was, don't you want to knock the rust off now? If this is, with Jalen Hurts.
Perfect timing.
And it's perfect timing to do that, And the thing about like the Giants, yes, you're playing their backups. I understand that. But for me, it's you got out of there, you got the win. And it's for me, I'm fine with it. They're 14-3, 14 wins. They've never won. They never got that. They won the NFC East. They got the number 1 seed. They can sit at home next week, relax, rest. Hopefully you get Lane back for the divisional. A lot of people put so much into it because the other thing that Kendall mentioned was their offense, they weren't going to show Jalen Hurts running the ball, doing a lot, taking any unnecessary hits or anything like that in an end of the regular season game. So basically what he was going to do was throw the ball. And now on the other side, Wink Martindale, all he did was blitz. So I think he kind of had that was, he's not going to run the ball because he's not going to take that unnecessary hit. But
and I'm talking about the Giants for a second, because when we played the Giants at full strength a couple weeks ago, I mean, we pummeled the hell out of them. It was enjoyable to watch. The Giants, who had nothing to play for today, which is why Saquon didn't play, which is why Thibodeau didn't play, which is why Daniel Jones didn't play. Why is the special teams coach not being fired as we speak?
I think special teams have been pretty good the past couple of weeks. Brett Kern has just been bad. Horrible.
For the Giants.
Also,
for the Giants.
Oh,
for the
I'm sorry.
Giants.
For us. I'm sorry.
No. For the Giants. Whose idea was it to give points up on a fake for a fake field goal? A fake field goal when you're in field goal range and having your punter throw the ball, and they read it perfectly. Running an onside kick to start the half. And then basically the entire game came down to what? A special teams play executing a onside kick perfectly, which Blankenship didn't wait for the 10 yards. He went up and got the ball. And that was textbook. That was textbook by the Eagles special teams, which is why our special teams coach is fine and should not be fired. But the Giants special teams coach, I mean, what were they doing? If your game plan is to try and steal a win, why are you opening up your bag of tricks that you might need in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's
like you don't run special plays during preseason games.
I feel as if they thought they had nothing to lose. They're trying to play spoiler, get us away from that first seed. And they probably knew that they couldn't do it in the way that they normally would because of, their starters being out. And, good thing Christian Ellis was disciplined on that.
He was great tonight.
If it wasn't for Christian, who about that tight end was, he would have been wide open. And then Milton came, like Charles Davis said, he came in and forced him to come back inside. And then the onsides, Reed, like what a play. And then the other onsides kick, I mean, that's just dumb.
I mean, it was just a lot of stupidity. I didn't understand why.
Yeah, they just tried to get some extra possessions and tried to trick to try to get some points because I think that's what they kind of thought they needed to do. But, for me, it's just looking at this team. You don't think this team's going to be ready for a playoff game in the length?
I do.
You're going to hear all of it. It's going to be absolute the next 2 weeks. It's going to be so nauseating to listen because people are going to complain and they're going to say that, oh, this team is terrible. They're no good, all that. You're going to hear it because that's what some Philadelphia fans do. They're Negadelphia. There's a lot of those fans that they cry and cry and cry. And no matter what sport it is, it's all the time. This team is 14-3.
You could be frustrated. Like there were definitely plays that I would love to have back. They didn't play great. The fact that Slayton came down or Galladay came down with that ball was crazy.
It's a
over Darius Slayton.
Anything.
How about we talk about, since we're talking about, this team and bringing these players up, how about we talk about the fact that Zach McPherson on that fake field goal not only would have blocked the kick, but then killed the punter
Yeah.
Like he took out the kicker and then took out the punter on the same play. No one's talking about that. It happened. Why don't we talk about the fact that Ellis played out of his mind holding that discipline? Why don't we talk about the fact that once again, Boston Scott is good for a score against the Giants? He won me $15 on FanDuel on a $5 bet.
How did we miss that lock? How did we not pick
Because we took it the last time we played the Giants.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
right.
I took it the last time we played the Giants. This time I actually put some money behind it. I won on a $5 bet, $15 on FanDuel. Why? Because you knew it was going to happen. It is a sure lock. Talk about I want people to talk about the positives.
I want to bring
positive then.
Yeah. Okay, we'll let you bring it up. I want to bring up one thing that maybe it's not a positive, but it's just something I want to think about. Possibly could be rest related. Is Miles Sanders? You think his knee's a little banged up, that they're just giving him some rest? Because that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think that for me, one of the things that I didn't enjoy seeing was the solution to protecting Jalen Hurts was to abuse Miles Sanders. Like you got to have the balance. Like abuse Gainwell, abuse Sermon, abuse Jack Stoll, abuse Calcaterra. Like there are guys that you can beat the hell up on. It didn't need to be Miles. And again, Miles Sanders looked really good. He did. He looked good, but he's got to get the rest now.
Yeah.
I got 3 positives.
Ooh.
Number one. Devontae Smith. We do not give this man enough credit for how good he is. Bro, his body control, his route running, his hands, his ability to even take on hits for his size. Man, as good as A.J. Brown has been this year, like we don't give Smitty enough credit to, like, we don't compare him to Brown as to how equal they really close to are being. Number 2, we might get Lane Johnson, Avonte Maddox, and Josh Sweat all back in 2 weeks. All 3 very important players to the team. Number 3, not related to the game, but related to the future. How about a top 10 pick from Howie Roseman this year?
I will take all that. And to kind of feed off of your and build upon your positives. So A.J. Brown breaks Mike Quick's record for most receiving yards in a season. You have Devontae Smith breaks the most catches by a wide receiver, not a receiver, because that was Zach Ertz with 116, but he has like 95 after a 7 today. So most ever by a wide receiver in Eagles history. So those are some 2 positives as well to kind of build upon. And another positive is it seems like Milton Williams is starting to break out a little bit. And that's a very good thing to see, because if you get, he's a young kid, if you get him to break out, then you may not have to spend a super high draft selection on an interior defensive lineman. So,
and even if we do, if it's Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick, I mean, that's a great front for the future.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely.
Yeah, I think like I'm in no place to start talking about draft picks yet because we still have a lot of season ahead of us. But I think that Howie's been very smart about slowly building up the replacements. You know what I mean? Like we already have our center of the future as soon as our center of the present is done. We already have interior defensive linemen for the future when our current ones are done. We need some edge rushers. That's easy. We have linebackers who are playing out of their mind. We have current superstar corners. We have to re-sign Brett. So they're being smart about it. Even with that top 10 pick, I don't necessarily think they need to even keep it. They can package that into getting some key role players on a team, depending on what they're able to do in free agency, and bring some of these players back.
Facts, Javier.
Yeah, Javier.
I agree with this totally. I completely agree with that statement. I also, and again, because I know Johnny is listening and I can say this, my favorite thing is that there is no question at all, and Johnny has since sent his apology letters in, but there is no question at all that we do not need to spend anything for a quarterback over the next 10 years. Jalen Hurts is the franchise quarterback.
So people who aren't watching, it's not me. I'm Johnny too. It's Johnny Higgins, I believe you're talking about.
It is Johnny Higgins. And I love Johnny. Johnny and I bust each other's chops all the time. And again, even before the season, him and I had the same conversations is, look, we don't have a lot of answers. We don't know. Getting him the players that he needs. You have A.J. Brown saying flat out, me and Devonta Smith are going to be together for a long time. Having Jalen Hurts, with those two receivers, we're in a good place right now.
No, you're absolutely right. And, just to build upon this, this upcoming week, Wednesday, we are going to talk some football. Any news comes out with the Eagles, we'll break down. We're going to kind of talk about the matchups, the playoff matchups, when they're slotted, everything. So we'll kind of break that down. Potential matchups that the Eagles could have this Wednesday. It's not going to be a super long show. It'll probably be maybe about a half-hour show or some around the likes of that. But just kind of talking a little bit of the news, notes, analysis, everything there. And then we're going to break down some of the playoff matchups and what we kind of see going into the playoffs and what we see for this postseason. But that's kind of everything that I have. It was a good victory, 14-3, a week off, the rest, and then we get it back going for the divisional round. But
yes, sir.
Thanks for everyone commenting, everyone tuning in. I'm just going to end it with a very happy and
a very positive and a very NFC champion, NFC regular season champion, number 1 seed. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.